Hey everyone, it's CJ and welcome to another episode of Objection Crime Chatter. We kind of switched things up a little bit tonight. We were supposed to do the Crystal McCrory case, but we are going to push that to next week because we are trying to get a hold of the sister who presented the case to us. So me and DFJ are still waiting to put that show together. And then I was going to do the Smoothie Killer, but they just had closing statements from the prosecution yesterday that I haven't been able to dive into. I'm working on another case with Rebel Wilson for the Objection Celebrity Court Chat. Yes, sorry, Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. It's a mouthful. My other channel, and so I've been doing that nightly, researching that, and I haven't had time to research the Smoothie Killer's latest in the prosecution's case. So we're going to get into that at the end of the show, and that'll probably be on Monday when I do that case. I am going to take tomorrow and Thursday off, so we will be back Monday, and that's because I'm working on that Rebel Wilson case. It's a civil lawsuit that's super, super juicy. I'm going to be doing a stream on Friday on it, so stay tuned for that. And so tonight we're just going to do the true crime wrap up that we will be doing on Thursdays. And it's just a little wrap up of all the latest cases or cases that we've gone over and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just get right into it. Let me pull up this image. Sorry about that. I'm going to remove this and we're going to share the screen for the first one. So we have some news on Donna Adelson, which we covered that case a little while ago, if you guys don't recall. There's the episode down in my videos. We had a live on Donna Adelson. She's arguing again to preclude mention of her trip to Vietnam because of new information. And so I'm going to play this little video. This is Brother Counsel. And I just discovered him today, so I've been, checking out some of his stuff. But I'm going to play you guys a little bit of this and what he says about Donna Adelson. So we know on the last stream that we had that she was trying to preclude this, the fact that she bought a one-way ticket to Vietnam, but she filed a new motion basically saying that, it wasn't illegal. So we're going to just listen to him for a bit.
Donna Adelson's trial is quickly approaching. In fact, it is less than a month away, if you can believe it.
So the trial is going to be on August 18th. So we have a couple weeks for that.
All will remember what happened last time there was a trial date. In fact, the defense attorney showed up to court ready to go, but there was a motion filed to throw the attorneys off the case, and that motion was granted. After all, Dan Rashbaum, who represented Charlie Adelson, and then Charlie Adelson was added to the witness list. And if you represented Charlie Adelson, then it is not quite fair for you to cross-examine him on behalf of your new client, Donna Adelson. So because of this conflict of interest, Dan Rashbaum was thrown off the case. Also, his co-counsel was thrown off the case, and they had to start again from square one. That's why Donna Adelson has new attorneys now. So that's what happened many, many months ago. And now finally, with the new attorneys all caught up with motions filed, this trial date, August 19th, is quickly approaching. And there was a motion in limine that was filed that we must discuss today. The motion in limine, of course, that I'm talking about is the motion in limine to preclude mentioning of the ticket, the one-way ticket to Vietnam, a non-extradition country, which Donna Adelson made sure it was a non-extradition country before she purchased her one-way ticket to Vietnam. So the prosecution wants to admit that as consciousness of guilt. After all, why would you be running away to a non-extradition country when you have nothing to be scared of, or you don't think you did anything wrong? Well, the defense for Donna Adelson filed a motion in limine saying, nope, sorry, we got some new evidence. In fact, they filed this motion previously and it was denied. But they say they have some new evidence which clearly shows that this is not consciousness of guilt, and therefore the prosecution should be precluded from even arguing that it was, or even bringing it up in any way, shape, or form. So let's get to the motion, and then, like we always like to do, is we'll look at the case law and see whether the argument that the defense is making has any feet or basis in the laws.
Okay, so he goes into the motion, and I'm going to link the video so you guys can read it there. So she's basically
one of the great challenges in this
again
world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
That there is no bench warrant for the arrest. So they can leave the
gets into
aware
all
that
of it.
law enforcement had been notified of the incident by the victim's mother. That also, aside from this, that she didn't know about the warrant, well, this is 10 years aside from this, that she didn't know about.
You guys can check that out. I'm going to link
warrant.
it in the comments.
Well, this
but
is
I
10 years after. Why should she think all of a sudden that she is going to be next? Well, the reason why she can think that and should think that is because let's think about the pattern of what happened here. First, who did the state go after? The killers, right? Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. They had those trials. Then who's next?
So this is what we discussed in the last stream, if y'all remember.
Katie Magbanua. They had 2 trials for that. And by the way, her appeal was just tonight, so she is going to be locked up for the rest of her life, in life without possibility of parole. What happened after that? Charlie Adelson. And now Charlie's case finishes. So who can possibly think that they're next? Well, they already got everybody else. So it's pretty clear that the next person may be another Adelson. They just got Charlie. Donna was all over those recordings that was presented in evidence in Charlie's case. And therefore, the next thing that she does, as soon as Charlie gets convicted, is book a one-way ticket to Vietnam. Now, some people may have said that if you're not completely full of yourself, then you would have escaped before Charlie Adelson's case is over.
And that's the biggest argument in the community. It's like, as soon as those recordings went into evidence and you knew you were in the case, I mean, you were SOL, you were implicated. So in the community, especially in Reddit, that's a lot what a lot of people say is, why didn't she leave sooner?
Why not take the flight before and then watch the rest of the trial or the verdict watch in Vietnam? And then if it comes down as guilty, well, then maybe you're already safe. But maybe they were so convinced by Dan Rashomon that they're going to win that they thought that Charlie was actually going to get acquitted. And if Charlie gets acquitted, well, then Don has nothing to be nervous about. She doesn't have to leave Florida. But there still is a nexus, even though it's a long nexus. But you can see very clearly what the pattern is, what the state's doing here. And therefore, she can very reasonably suspect that she's going to be next. And that is what prompted her actions. So the fact of whether she knew there was a warrant or not, whether the warrant issued before her ticket, after her ticket, whether she's legally allowed to travel, that has nothing to do with it. All these people were legally allowed to do whatever they wanted. A person can legally travel on the highway, on the interstate. You're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to speed, but you can travel on the interstate. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be doing something illegal for it to be considered consciousness of guilt. Even if you just leave the city and hide in someone's basement, is that illegal? To just camp out in someone's basement? That's not illegal. And still, that can be considered consciousness of guilt. So it has nothing to do whether it's legal for her to leave the country. It has nothing to do with whether she is aware of a warrant. She booked this one-way ticket very clearly right after Charlie Adelson was convicted because she realized that she is most likely going to be next. So again, this motion is going to get denied. It's not going to get past Judge Everett. You can trust me. It's not going to get granted. And Judge Everett's just going to say the same thing.
So that's, he's a trial lawyer. That's Martin E. Radner, brother counsel. So I've been checking out his stuff. It's pretty good. If you guys wanted to check that out, I'm going to link it at the bottom if you guys want to check out the actual motion. Basically saying that this new motion is also going to get denied. So she's probably going to get to trial on August 19th. She's fighting for her freedom. Today's episode is fighting for freedom, and every case is people that are trying to get out of. And speaking of freedom, DFJ, our very own DFJ, is trying to get out of Twitter jail. Thank you. It was a terrible day to be in Twitter jail. She's fighting for her freedom in Twitter jail. She's got 24 hours without posting, and then she can get the account back. We're not sure why she got in Twitter jail. She just got shadow banned. I can't wait for you to be back. Yep, same here, Missy. We missed DFJ today and her cute slides with the pink. I missed it. Yeah. Hi, Victoria. Hey, Amy. Thanks for being here. Missy, I already said hi to Missy, I think. Okay, so yeah, today's episode is about fighting for freedom. So it looks like Donna Adelson is not going to get this motion. This was just filed on Wednesday of last week. And so we're waiting to hear from the judge, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be um, approving that because it has no legs. So her trial starts August 19th. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said the 18th. They're predicting that it's going to last about 2 weeks for the prosecution and that the defense isn't going to call any witnesses, apparently. They might. I don't know. This is just the word around town. And a lot of people think that she's going to be found guilty and then that Wendy Adelson is going to be next. If you guys remember, Wendy Adelson was the wife of Dan Markle, who was unalived. And so, based on the trajectory, they got the killers first, then they got the brother, Charlie Adelson, then they got the mom, Donna Adelson. And a lot of people think Wendy's next. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's the latest on the Donna Adelson trial. And then we have new updates on Barry Morphew, which is so crazy because I'm like, were they watching our show? So this was published July 25th. I got to go see when our show was published, but it says, let me pause this. It says Barry Morphew may use mystery DNA for defense in wife's murder. Former prosecutor says expert points to unknown DNA evidence that could shift blame away from husband charged in Colorado killing. So we were talking about that DNA, and I believe it's the DNA that was found in the car, in the truck. So let me find the part where it says, I would expect the defense to advance any evidence they have relating to alternate suspect evidence. McCallum pointed to the fact that an unknown DNA profile was found in Suzanne Morphew's Range Rover after her disappearance, which didn't belong to Barry Morphew. Court documents state that unknown DNA was found in the glove box, among other spots. So it was in the glove box and other spots in the car. One of the things that was always permeated this case is the existence of these unknown DNA profiles that were found on some of the items of evidence that were found. And then initially when she went missing, they pointed to somebody else being involved. You can't just throw out names and say this person did it, go get him. So, I think, though, that if they have any ability to pin this homicide on someone other than Barry Morphew, they are going to be exploring these defenses. It goes on to talk about Brian Koberger. It says, we know that the chemical that was found on her body, and we know where her body was found, but we really don't know a whole lot more than that. We don't know where the body was moved. We don't know where she actually died. So that was another thing that we had said would be a problem for the prosecution, is her body being moved and all that. And it says David Beller, his previous attorney, maintained his innocence. Yet again, the government allowed their predetermined conclusions to lead their search for evidence. The case has not changed and the outcome will not either. But I thought it was something to bring up, that a former prosecutor is saying that DNA may be compelling. So that's another person fighting for their freedom, is Barry Morphew. Oh, Wrathful says she thinks she's shadow banned too. Yeah, I think it's happening to a lot of people. So I don't know. Hey, Wrathful, how are you? Yay, you got a live. Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep it short and tight here because I know a lot of creators are going on at 9 p.m. So I'm gonna try and get through this here. So that's the latest on Barry Morphew, which we kind of discussed already, but I thought it was kind of cool that it made the headlines and was actually published as a theory. So we're gonna keep an eye on that. And then we also have Brian Walsh. Now, this is a case we haven't talked about here, but if you guys, I'm going to kind of summarize it. This is a guy who had dismembered his wife. He had unalived her, and then she didn't show up for work. Her coworkers were wondering where she was at. And he had used his child's iPad to Google a bunch of stuff, thinking that, he wasn't going to get caught because it was his kid's iPad. And they end up, they get forensics on all the devices in the house. And so they did end up finding him Googling, how to, I guess, dismember a body or something. And they also found footage of him at like a Lowe's or some kind of hardware store getting stuff. So This is the latest on Brian Walsh. He's seeking to dismiss the first-degree murder charge in connection with his wife's death, arguing prosecutors lack sufficient evidence of premeditation to support the accusation. So he's trying to dismiss murder in the first degree. It says he argued that prosecutors have incorrectly inferred that Brian killed his wife after discovering she was having an affair, claiming there's no evidence that Brian knew that she was having the affair. Judge Diane Frenier pushed back on his claim, citing evidence presented to the grand jury that Brian had searched the name of the man his wife was allegedly involved with 6 times on December 25th, 2022. And I believe that he was searching this on his kids' iPads, thinking that he wasn't going to get caught. The judge noted that according to grand jury testimony, Brian had access to his wife's iMessage and Instagram accounts, which were the primary means of communication between Anna and the man in question. Tipton maintained that his client consistently insisted that he wasn't having an affair and he didn't believe Anna was either, arguing that prosecutors were improperly piling inference after inference. Prosecutors countered that the evidence showed Brian was aware and was motivated by financial concerns, including inheritance from life insurance. It's always the life insurance. Corey Richens, it was the life insurance. The case that we're going to talk about with DFJ, there's speculation that it could have been life insurance there too, and that she didn't actually unalive herself, that it might have been connected to her husband. Of course, all of this is allegedly. But yeah, there was aspects of life insurance in that one too. It says, pointing to searches related to cleaning up crime scenes and luxury goods, prosecutors argued Brian's behavior showed he was planning it. They also highlighted testimony that Anna had told a friend about a huge fight over Christmas, where she had given her husband an ultimatum, because he was also in the middle of a pending federal case at the time. So yeah, they alleged that, he unalived her January 1st and spent the following days concealing the crime. Her body has not been found. And there's also in this case, it's also Mommy Dearest's case, because they do believe that the mom had something to do, because he went to the mom's house after, that she might have helped him, which I don't understand. Like, even with Koberger, they're also saying, that the mom and the dad may have known something. And they said it was really telling that the dad didn't show up for trial. So yeah, that's those cases. Let's check out. Okay, so the chat, Noah's over there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next one. So that's just one to watch. I'm gonna cover it once it gets closer to the trial. But for right now, Judge Frenier took the matter under advisement and will issue a ruling at a later date. So we'll know whether it's going to be first degree or not. And there's Ann Walsh, who was his wife, there in the top corner of that video. So that's one we'll keep an eye on. It's Massachusetts versus Brian Walsh. And we'll keep you guys updated on that one. But he's also fighting for his freedom. And then we have Ghislaine Maxwell, says she's willing to speak to Congress with immunity. The imprisoned girlfriend of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein is open to answering questions from Congress, but only if she's granted immunity from future prosecutions for her testimony, her lawyers have said on Tuesday. A spokeswoman for the committee that wants to interview her responded with a tense statement saying it would not consider offering her immunity. So they're saying they would not. She's basically trying to, fight the charges and get out of jail. Maxwell's lawyers also asked that they be provided with any questions in advance and that an interview be scheduled after her petition to the U.S. Supreme Court to take up her case has been resolved. So her case is right now in the U.S. Supreme Court of Appeals. The conditions were laid out in a letter sent by Maxwell's attorney last week, who last week issued a subpoena for her deposition at the Florida prison, where she is serving a 20-year prison sentence for conspiring with Epstein to SA underage girls. The request to interview her is part of a frenzied, renewed interest in the Epstein saga following the Justice Department's July statement that it would not be releasing any additional records, and conspiracy theories and elements of President Donald Trump's base, who had been hoping to find proof of a government cover-up. Since then, the Trump administration has sought to present itself as promoting transparency, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will be interviewing Maxwell over the course of 2 days at a Florida. Oh, they already did interview her over the course of 2 days at a Florida courthouse last week. In a letter on Tuesday, Maxwell's attorney said that though their initial instinct was for Maxwell to invoke her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, they are open to having her cooperate, provided that lawmakers satisfy their request for immunity and other conditions. But the Oversight Committee seemed to just reject that offer outright. The Oversight Committee will respond to Ms. Maxwell's attorney soon, but it will not consider granting her immunity in testimony. Separately, Maxwell's attorneys have urged the Supreme Court to review her conviction, saying that she did not receive a fair trial. They also say that one way she would testify openly and honestly in public is in the event of a pardon by Donald Trump, who has told reporters that such a move is within his rights, but that he has not been asked to make that. She welcomes the opportunity to share the truth and to dispel the many misconceptions and misstatements that have plagued this case from the beginning. And I believe one of the things that she's using in her appeal is that when Epstein got the sweetheart deal in Florida, the verbiage in there was saying that any co-conspirators would also get that same deal, but she wasn't named. It was 3 other names, and then it said, or any other co-conspirators. And so she feels like she falls into that. And they're saying, they're opposing that and saying, no, you're in the federal New York Supreme Court. Florida doesn't apply here. And, basically that wasn't about you. So she's trying to fight it from a bunch of different angles. So we'll see if that happens or not. Does this only impact additional charges? Will she still have to serve her current sentence? That's a good question, Amy. I'm not sure. I believe that she wouldn't have to serve out her sentence. She would just be let go. But that's a good question. I'll find out for the next stream. You're playing the DFJ role today. Usually DFJ is the one with the good questions. So after Ghislaine, we're going to move into the Menéndez brothers and Governor Newsom. I actually did an episode today on Governor Newsom and his fight with Spencer Pratt. So if you guys haven't checked that out, go check that one out. For some reason, it's freezing up on me. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Newsom to decide on Menéndez's brother's parole by Labor Day weekend. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he intentionally avoided the series on the Menéndez's brothers to maintain impartiality in their upcoming parole decision. So this was published this week, and it's talking about how Governor Newsom has said that he'll make the decision for Eric and Lyle Menéndez and whether they're suitable for parole by Labor Day for the 1989 shotgun murders of their parents in their Beverly Hills mansion. Ahead of the Menéndez's brothers' parole hearing on August 21st and 22nd, Newsom discussed the case Sunday with Monsters creator Ryan Murphy on his podcast, This is Gavin Newsom. The governor holds the final say and is expected to make a decision by Labor Day if the parole board recommends release. And Murphy says that's heavy stuff. Newsom had said he intentionally avoided watching the Netflix series to prevent any outside influence on his judgment. I kept having temptation to want to see it, but with the recognition always in the back of my mind that this thing may land on my desk, Newsom told Murphy. I don't want to be persuaded by something that's not in the files. The producer joked that Newsom could finally watch the series on Labor Day since the parole board's recommendation is expected by the end of August. Yeah, I'm going to see if I made the right decision, Newsom replied with a laugh. So there you see Eric and Lyle, the Menéndez brothers. For those that aren't familiar with this case, they unalived their parents, but they are claiming that they had SA and for years from their parents. And so I believe that's, one of the arguments in their parole hearing. I'm not sure. They've been fighting for freedom for a while here. It says during their one-on-one lunch before the series premiered, Murphy told Newsom the show would spark intense debate. So Ryan Murphy, I guess, made the documentary. And you start talking to me about this and you all but said, I'm sorry. And I didn't fully appreciate how right you are to be sorry. Monsters in the documentary, the Menéndez brothers largely contributed to renewed fascination with this case, where Judge Michael Jessico reduced their life without parole sentence to 50 to life, making them eligible for parole consideration. So now they're eligible for parole. It says, in a news conference following the ruling on Wednesday, May 14th, Newsom explained the multi-layered process of considering them eligible for release. The governor said that before any decision is finalized, there will be a team of forensic psychologists who will conduct individual risk assessments on each brother. And I thought about what we were talking about with Billy Little, how a lot of the times if you're SA'd, and especially as a child, the impact. So I'm wondering if they're going to have, extreme forensic analysis to see if they can, make it back into the real world. It says Newsom will do it if he thinks it will gain popularity. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, thank you, DFJ. She's answering. I think her legal team has requested either immunity from further prosecution, clemency, or pardon as conditions. So it's a couple of things there. It could only apply to future charges, which is like what future charges? Yeah, that's true. I know that she's just trying to get free. That's the gist of what I know. I only have YouTube and sometimes Reddit when I need. Oh, okay. So that's still about the shadow band. And Wrathful saying she has a shadow ban on her YouTube channel. Sorry about that. Yeah, it seems like it's, rampant and going around. So I'm not quite sure what's causing it. A lot of people say it's Lively's guy. I don't want to say his name because then maybe I get shadow banned. But yeah, so the Menéndez brothers, that's, they're fighting for their freedom as well. So where was I? Oh, yeah. We thought that it would be prudent to do, he said, saying that these assessments have been debated not only by Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman, who DFJ says she's not a fan of, and the victim's family, but also by the judge, both publicly in another conversation and behind closed doors. So it's called a comprehensive risk assessment. And it has been a sticking point for the DA. The brothers were marked as moderate risk, an increase from their previous low risk assessments. The moderate risk increase came after each report found that the brothers in recent months had been cited for breaking prison rules for contraband violations, specifically the possession of cell phones. And now, why would you go and break prison rules when you're this close? Now, this is pretty crazy. Like, come on now, you're about to get in front of a parole board. It's not the time to be breaking rules. They went from low risk to medium risk because they sneaked in phones. Hochman shared the findings about Lyle Menéndez first, whose actions perpetrated deceit. Speaking about the contraband phone, he added that Lyle had downplayed his rule breaking and that his report showed his entitlement and willingness to meet his own needs. And see, I just keep going back to Billy Little because he does say that, people have been essayed and gone through, like, I mean, they actually unalive their parents and stuff, something so traumatic that could be something that would be worrisome. Along with illicit cell phone usage, Eric was flagged for possessing and dealing drugs, as well as helping other inmates with tax fraud. So he was helping inmates how to avoid taxes, I guess. And then, come on, possessing and dealing drugs, I mean, maybe they need to stay locked up. Hochman, who ran on a tough on crime platform, has been vocal about the brothers' lack of rehabilitation. In Sunday's podcast episode, Newsom said that the parole decisions rely on well-established criteria, such as in-prison behavior and their psychiatric evaluations. So it says, Murphy told Newsom he initially opposed the brothers' release, but changed his perspective while working on the series after hearing from actors and writers involved in the project. I really do think they should be released. I was astonished at how it went into something with such a predetermined point of view and came out of it without thinking. And I haven't watched the documentary, so maybe I should watch the documentary. Murphy explained he was especially moved by the brothers' decades-long good behavior and the unity within their family. If not now, when? What benefit to society do we have by keeping them there if they can come out of prison and actually serve some good? I think that's a powerful thing. But I mean, if they're dealing drugs in jail, I don't know how positive that could be. If, that'll, I don't know. What do y'all think, chat? Do y'all think dealing drugs in jail? Sometimes people break prison rules when they're getting close to leaving because they are nervous about living on the outside. Self-sabotage. Interesting theory there. Wrathful says release them. I love it. She's like, damn it, Blake. Does she have monitors? Says, is this still about Ghislaine? I'm okay with pardon with future charges if she still has to serve her current sentence and she throws everyone under the bus. I do not like that idea at all. What idea? Did I miss one? So you don't believe that they're dealing drugs? What's everyone's thoughts on them getting out? Yeah, see, I don't know because I never watched the documentary. I just know that, like, they experienced such abuse. So it was kind of like and I don't want to say it, but because, she's controversial. What is her name? Can the chat help me out? The girl who got her boyfriend to unalive the mom, and what is her name? She's what is her name? You guys know who I'm talking about? It's the girl that she has like a reality TV show now. She got like a complete makeover. She had a movie made about her. She had like the little glasses. Her mom had Munchausen's. Gypsy Rose. Thank you, Angels. I was like, what is her name? So yeah, it kind of gave me like Gypsy Rose. Not that anybody deserves to be unalived because they do bad things or anything. Like that's what the justice system is for. Oh, I missed this comment, but I do fear she's going to get a presidential pardon in the end. Oh, about Ghislaine? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Now they're saying that Trump might be in the Epstein files. So, it's possible that he might do that. Thanks, DFJ. Yes, for some reason, I'm missing a couple comments here. So Rosewild says, I'm okay with them getting out. I feel they were severely abused by the dad and for abnormal amount of time from kids until adult, and I think it messed them up. Yeah, so that's all I've heard about the Menéndez brothers. I've never deep dived into them, but I'm going to watch the documentary. I mean, if it changed Ryan Murphy's mind, it might give me another perspective. But yeah, it reminds me of Gypsy Rose and her getting out. And she's, been back in society. I believe she's having a baby, or she already had her baby. But she got married, and I think she already had a baby. And it seems like she's back in society, doing well. So Christina says drugs could end him right back in jail. Yeah. We could trade the Menéndez brothers for Blake. Oh, Wrath. Okay, so I already got up there. Let's see, anybody else? Oh, hey, Leo. Thanks for stopping by to support. Wrathful saying you're working on a podcast about a kid who unalived their mother. I have strong feelings about this. Ooh, okay. Yeah, no, there's been a couple cases that's happened where, they finally just couldn't take it. Gypsy Rose being like the most well-known one. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what that one's about. It says, DFJ says, yeah, I feel better with the Menéndez brothers being free rather than Blake. Yeah, I remember watching the Menéndez brothers initially, Wrathful. I remember watching that trial. She is with her baby daddy, but I think she divorced the man she married in prison. Not sure if she married the baby daddy. Yeah, I think she did marry him, I believe. They got married like quickly. Oh, yeah, because she did divorce him. You're right. So yeah, I don't know if she's married to the baby daddy. Yeah, because now it's all coming back to me. She marries the guy, and then they got divorced over like the AC and the fact that he was like hoarding the fridge and he wouldn't throw away like the mustard and the ketchup or something. Like he had like months old ketchup in there or something. And it was something so crazy that, yeah, it was a crazy story. I was looking to see if anyone was talking about Blake, but this live was recommended, Leo. I know I wanted to cancel this one and just talk about Blake because of Perez. It got spicy today. Perez filed something. Andy filed something. But I'm going to have the morning show tomorrow. So we're kind of wrapping up here. We just did Ghislaine, and then we're going to do just a reminder to everybody that I do the Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. And so this is kind of something that I've been doing over there, which is the Diddy trial. But it fit into this because it is in criminal court and we're talking about people fighting for freedom. Today, there was breaking news that Diddy filed a renewed motion for pre-sentence release and cited exceptional circumstances of the case. Any similarly situated defendants were released and also proposed these bail conditions. I still was not happy with the bail conditions because and this is Lawyered Up One. Y'all should follow him if y'all don't follow him. This is great, especially if you want to follow the Diddy stuff. He also is doing the Jay-Z paternity case, which I'm going to cover on the Celebrity Court channel. But yeah, he was saying that, it has to be like a plan. Usually what he does with his clients is like a schedule. Like this is from the morning to the night. This is what it's going to be. Something more detailed. And so the one thing that I thought here is they're still saying Combs travel will be limited to Florida and New York, and then the airports necessary to travel between the two. And for me, I don't think a judge is going to find that. I don't know. That's just me. I just feel like any traveling, I feel like if he was just to stay put, and then it says if the court finds more extreme conditions are necessary, then they can add the following: home detention, private security. And lawyered up, he said, and rightfully so, that you don't leave it up to the court. You just, put it in there. And I feel like if he were to put more restrictions, he'd be more likely to get it. And I haven't read it all the way through. I just read a couple pages of the bail package. And I know that they cited, other cases, how the Mann Act and, prostitution has not been prosecuted like that. And so the judge gave the USA, which Maureen Comey is no longer a part of, as you guys remember, because she was fired. So I don't know who is the lead there. I know that there was a couple people prosecuting this, but someone's going to have to file a response to this. And yeah, so that's the latest on Diddy. He's, fighting for his freedom. He wants to get out. He wants to live in his home in Miami, pay $50 million bond, and surrender his passport. And that's what he basically was saying. So he's trying to get set free. Crazy Days and Nights is doing a deep dive in Epstein. A lot of rich and famous people, and saying it in a calm way. Okay, well, let's have the citizens check that out. Crazy Days and Nights. I'm also going to bookmark that because I have been, deep diving into Epstein. Some good chatter with Epstein is Colonel Kurtz too. She has some good videos, not like deep dives or anything, but just some good chatter on, Ghislaine and Trump and, all that stuff. If you guys like the political aspect of it. The South District, whatever court, is a sham and BS. Yeah, the SDNY, it's crazy. So yeah, so that's that there with Diddy. Doesn't seem like anybody has a say on Diddy, whether y'all think he should go free or not. Speak now or forever hold your peace in the chat, whether y'all think the judge should grant this, if, he should, get released prior to sentencing. Remember, his sentencing is in October. And so this is so that he can be released prior to that. So y'all sound off in the chat whether or not you think this one is going to go through. We've been going through several cases. Donna Adelson, we don't think her fight for freedom is going to be successful. Barry, we're going to have to wait for trial on that one because he's going to be fighting it out at trial, Barry Morphew. We also did Brian Walsh, who's also going to trial. We won't know till then. And Ghislaine, I guess we'll know in the last couple days or weeks, because, she's fighting it from different fronts, which is she's fighting it from, either the pardon or the appeals court or this immunity type of deal thing. So we'll see. With hers, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but I am sat for it. Menéndez brothers, a lot of you guys thought that they should get to go free. And it seems like Governor Newsom's going to make a decision before Labor Day. So we'll know. Christina said, hell no for Diddy. He should not be released because he harasses people from the inside, and it's worse if he's free. And they didn't have anything saying like he wouldn't have access to a phone or anything. It wasn't detailed enough. And that's what Lawyer One said, Diddy should stay in jail, Mia said. So that's the consensus. Rathful also thinks. Rosewild says, I didn't follow this case. What happened to Rosewild's? I didn't follow that case, but from just reading the headlines, it seemed like his case was about kinky sex and not RICO charges. So, yeah, a lot of people were saying that the Mann Act has not been prosecuted in that SDNY since 2021 or something like that. Please don't release the diddler, Victoria. Well, that's that on Diddy. We're going to move on to, let's see. We're going to move on to Tory Lanez, which I'm going to cover on the Celebrity channel. That's why I'm sharing these two, which are more, objection celebrity court chatter than true crime, but they are criminal cases. The California Court of Appeal has finally scheduled oral argument in Tory Lanez's appeal of his 3 felony convictions and a 10-year prison sentence for shooting at Megan Thee Stallion. And so the thing that I find compelling about this case is that it is very, very rare. I think less than 1% of people get to oral arguments. And so it's going to be August 18th at 9 a.m. So we're going to be following this because he's fighting for his freedom. He's got a representative of California. It's a woman. I forget who she is. I probably should have had her up before before the show tonight. But basically, there's some kind of representative. I don't know if it's Congress or something, but she's the one who was, helping him and fighting for him to get free, because they're saying that there was some inconsistencies with the trial. And the fact that he, got to oral argument means that it might have been compelling. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what they've got. Megan Cuniff is who's I've been following to cover it. She has a Substack if you guys wanted to go over there. And it has all the appellate arguments and the state's responses and stuff. There hasn't been a filing in it since last year. And so, yeah, I'm going to look into all of that. I haven't looked into the paperwork or anything because I just thought he was in jail and that was the end of that. But it seems like he got that less than 1% chance. So I don't know, chat, if anybody knows anything on the Tory Lanez, if y'all think that's going to go through, the Court of Appeals is going to, let's see. Are we still talking about Diddy on this one? He should and will serve time, and I'm sure he will be monitored if he ever gets out. Yeah. The only good thing about Diddy is that, unlike Trump, Diddy messed with adults and not kids. Okay, yeah, so we're still talking on Diddy. So yeah, if you guys are not familiar with the Tory Lanez case, I'm going to be looking into it. Once it gets closer to this appeal, I'll probably feature it on the channel, Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. And so we're wrapping up here. Here's a little tidbit that I wanted to share with you guys as we wrap up. Judge Judy has a new true crime courtroom show. Who used to watch Judge Judy back in the day? I did. Court is back in session. Judge Judy Shenlin is returning to Prime Video with a new series that tackles true crime. All 8 episodes of Justice on Trial are now streaming. So I haven't caught it, but it seems interesting. Justice on Trial puts the American court system on trial. Judge Shenlin and her expert legal team recreate trials from notorious cases in American history where the letter of the law dictates that justice doesn't always feel just. Fast-paced recreations of the crimes are mixed in with recreated trials where Judge Shenlin acts as the lower court judge, while her tribunal judges, Tanya Acker, Patricia DiMangio, and Adam Levy, preside over all appeals court cases. Real-life veteran trial lawyers Daniel Menser and Larry Bachman also appear. Justice on Trial premiered on July 21st. So you'll need Amazon Prime for that. But here are some of the episodes. What Happens in My House, The Matter of Terrence K. When a foreign diplomat invoked immunity to shield himself from child abuse after brutally beating his son, the case ultimately pitted the interests of the U.S. government against the rights of an abused child. And so, yeah, here are some of the cases. Episode 6, Killer But Not a Liar. Troopers stopped Leonardo Tirago for speeding violation on the New York State Thruway, which led police to a grim discovery in the back of his truck, a decomposing body locked in a steamer trunk. But was the search of the truck legal? Oh, and this is what some of the lawyers, some of Andy's lawyers were talking about today, about how, justice isn't really justice, because sometimes if you just don't do something right, then the whole case is thrown out. And they reference true crime where, if, somebody stabs somebody up, but if the knife was, handled illegally or obtained illegally, like, oh, you didn't have a warrant for that, so yeah, this person's going to walk. And yeah, go check out the Andy stream with the 2 lawyers. If y'all are following the Baldoni versus Lively, Andy was subpoenaed. It's Andy Senior from Popcorn Planet. So go check that out with those 2 lawyers that he got in Florida. They were really good, explaining all the legal terms and stuff. And that was one of the things that they were saying. And so I think that's what this uncovers. This show is, when the legal system has these like little loopholes where people walk or whatever. So it's going to be interesting. I like Judge Judy. I don't know about y'all. Raffle says she loves Judge Judy. And so, oh, that was a good video. I don't know. Oh, whose video? My video? Oh, Andy's video. Okay, sorry. I keep trying to put the love Judge Judy. Yeah, everyone's like, ooh, Judge Judy. So y'all tune into that one. It seems like a cool one to explore new cases. DFJ also says, I love JJ. And so, yeah, let me just pull up this final one here, which is what we're going to be covering on Monday. Like I said, I'm taking 2 days off, y'all, so we're not going to be streaming tomorrow night or Thursday night. Friday night, I have a stream about Rebel Wilson's case, which DFJ is super looking forward to. I'm doing a deep dive on that. It's similar to the Blake Lively case. It's got so many different twists and turns. But Monday, we are going to be covering the Colorado versus James Craig poison shake murder trial. And so, yeah, the prosecution just rested yesterday, I believe, and or Friday, and the defense didn't put up any witnesses. So it's done. There's going to be the jury's going to start on Tuesday to deliberate. And so I'm going to do a deep dive because I missed the last 2 days of the trial. But guys, this is a crazy, crazy trial. Like, what's come out at trial? He asked his daughter to do like a deep fake of like the mom and stuff on like an AI deep fake of like the mom to show that she actually had like asked him to do this to her and like unalive. Like, so he tried to get the daughter in on it. There's so many twists and turns. Like this will probably be like an hour and a half episode on Monday night. So just letting y'all know because so much came out in the trial. So much came out. Yeah, here it says her dad told her not to tell anyone and called her and asked her to make a deep fake instructions for a video of his wife saying that she asked her dad for the chemicals. Imagine, can y'all imagine? Like that is just craziness. And so one last plug here, y'all. If you guys don't follow already, if you guys can go follow my Objection crime chatter community over on X. I actually got really disciplined with the YouTube channel. And so I have a description with the times of when I'm going to go on. Our show Objection Sidebar is going to be on Fridays. And I might do an episode in the morning and then at night, do a sidebar for, but yeah, so that'll be Rebel Wilson Friday night. And then, yeah, I have all the links on the YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, all the links are there for my communities. It's Objection Crime Chatter and Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. So if you guys want to go and check those out, and then my X account is also linked there. So I got all my duckies in a row, and we're almost at 700 subscribers. So thank you all for recommending and for following and for watching. We have about 800 watch hours before I get monetized. So, you know, it's been working out really good. And I appreciate everybody who shows up for these night shows. And I know there's plenty of people that you can watch. And so I appreciate y'all coming here to watch this. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up then. Missy says, let's go. Yeah, I know. I'm really proud of, you know, everything. It's like Kim Kardashian. I always quote it, you know, you got to get up and work. So I made a content calendar. I stuck to the content calendar. Thank you to my mods, Christina. And here we go. Christina, look at her plugging me. Thanks to Christina and Laura, who have, you know, been really, really nice to lean onto. They keep me motivated and on schedule because there's some days that I don't want to stream. And also shout out to DFJ, who co-hosts with me, who also her go-to is always like, trust your instinct, because I'll be like, I don't want to stream tonight. But yeah, so I'm glad that I was able to come on here with you guys. Victoria is very excited for the Friday night lives. Yeah, those are going to be fun. Thank you, CJ and Chat. Thank you, Missy. Thank you. I love listening to your lives. Thanks, angels. So I love all of y'all for coming, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be covering the Brangelina wine case, which is so twisty and turny. It's going to be cool. And all the tea from today on the Perez Hilton, Andy, and all that stuff that's going on the Blake Lively case. So stay tuned in the morning. And then tomorrow, no show at night on Thursday either. I'll see you guys Friday night again for a night live. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy your night. We'll see y'all in the morning.